Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi! Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
So welcome back, folks. More commentary on the war. I want to make just a point, a very interesting one that former National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien made, and that is the three goals: to wipe out the ballistic missiles, wipe out any of the nuclear stuff made for weapons, and end all of the money assistance to terrorists. Those were the condensed version of the Pompeo strategy in the first term, from 10 points to 3 points. Very interesting. I'm going to add now at this point how important regime change is, one way or another. The president, in his 8-minute address, if you didn't hear it, it's worth listening to. I just heard it on my little cell phone. But anyway, he's talking about obliterating the Iranian missile factories and hoping for regime change, which I still think must come from within Iran, not from without. But let's talk about it and kick it around a little bit. I don't want to lose sight of the president's brilliant State of the Union address on Tuesday. But anyway, we have Liz Peek, great Fox News contributor and syndicated columnist. And we have my dear old friend Steve Forbes, who's the chairman and editor-in-chief of Forbes Media, and his book, Inflation, What It Is, Why It's Bad, How to Fix It. So thanks to both of you today. Things are obviously topsy-turvy. Imagine doing a radio show starting at 10 o'clock. I got a bad back. I could barely walk. And then I pick up, it's a friend of mine, Dan Bruyette, who was the energy secretary in the first term. He said, anything I can do to help on a very interesting day. And I said, oh, no, what's gone on? Well, we just bombed Iran. Anyway, I'm glad we bombed Iran. And God bless all of our soldiers and airmen and so forth, Navy, and the same for Israel. But Liz and Steve, I'm sure you have some opinions on this. Let me begin with Liz Peek. Liz, what you thinking about? I know that you get the wall-to-wall blanket coverage on Fox News and so forth. Will anything jump out at you?
Well, I think the most significant development today is that almost the entire Middle East is siding with the United States and Israel.
Yes.
This is not a lone venture of United States and Israel, which typically have partnered together in striking Iran and trying to strike out against Hezbollah, Hamas, etc. This is everybody saying enough. And Larry, for all the voices in the United States saying, we didn't need this, nobody wants this, I would remind them that Iran has fomented attacks on Americans for decades. This is not the United States wantonly going after some bad apples in an otherwise friendly country. This is an unfriendly country that has killed Americans. And, by the way, also promoted attempts on President Trump's life over and over again. I mean, I think the mullahs, might be thinking, sitting in Tehran thinking, maybe we shouldn't have done that. That seems kind of personal. But, I mean, the FBI has foiled and Secret Service, any number of attempts on his life, supposedly promoted by Iran. So I think these are bad guys, and they have been a cancer in the heart of the Middle East forever. There is no way that Hamas is going to ever agree to get out, lay down their arms, get out of the way of a redevelopment of Gaza with Iran still funding them and promoting them. So I think frankly, this is a righteous undertaking.
Couldn't agree more. Steve Forbes, there's a point made earlier in this show by General Jack Keane, that the U.S. Israeli forces not stop too soon, prematurely. Now, he didn't quantify it, Steve. He didn't quantify it, but certainly he was talking about what Trump said in his quick, brief 8-minute address about obliterating Iranian missile factories and all that goes with that. But Steve, my hope is, and I'm not a military man, I rely on the expertise of others like Keane, but I don't want to stop until there's regime change. This is a moment. You've got already France is talking about taking it to the UN. I don't care one whit about the UN, right? No, nobody cares about the UN. And as Liz said, the powers in the Middle East, the Arab states, the Middle East, are siding with the USA and Israel on this. I don't want to stop until somebody surrenders and there's true regime change.
You're absolutely right, adding that fourth point and four principles in terms of what we need to achieve with Iran. And Macron doing what he usually does in a situation like this. A Frenchman, he's got the backbone of an éclair. And I think, I think, Larry, in terms of the fears that we may stop too soon, I think that did happen in June, but I think this time it's a very different situation. Both President Trump and certainly Prime Minister Netanyahu know there's no turning back. This regime has to go. So whether it takes 2 weeks, several weeks, maybe a couple of months, they're going to clean this thing out, no matter what others say. And the fact that Iran's been lobbing missiles on other Arab states, I think that's going to fortify the support. Whoever would have thought a few years ago Arab nations would side with the U.S. and Israel doing a joint venture against a regime like Iran. So it's a very different situation. This time, I think they're going to see it through entirely to the end. And the thing we have to fear is not a premature end to this war, getting rid of this barbaric regime. Liz is right. Threat to the base of civilization has been for decades. The sleeper cells that Iran has planted around the world and in this country, including the open border policies of Joe Biden. I hope we are upping our security on certain facilities in this country. I'm sure we are. We're aware of it. You mentioned the attacks on President Trump's life in the past. Those things are going to continue, and these people are fanatics. These agents they planted around the world, they're fanatics, and they're going to try to do something ugly in between. So this thing is just beginning, but I think in terms of the regime in Iran, they are in the garbage pile of history.
I would say, to both of you, you cannot, we've learned you cannot make a deal with Iran. You cannot. Right. You just, first of all, whatever they say, they will not permit any inspection of anything, whether it's missiles, ICBMs, the nuclear stuff, the enrichment. They won't even let the UN in most of the time. But you cannot believe a word they say. And that's why I'm so fervently hoping that there will be regime change now. Let's not, this group, you cannot deal with them. They are uncivilized. They are, you see, Jared, Liz, Jared is a smart guy. Okay, he's a very smart guy, Jared Kushner. Steve Witkoff, very smart guy. Okay, they've been trying to negotiate a deal, and why is it? I knew they couldn't do it. Not that I'm against them. I'm for them. They're both personal friends of mine, and they're both very smart people. And they've been, they have the president's ear and so forth. They're working with Rubio, who's a good Secretary of State. But you just knew that it was going to fail. And we wind up exactly where we wound up today. That's the long and short. That's why I don't want to stop until there's regime change.
And honestly, Larry, that's why it's so offensive to have someone like Tim Kaine come out and say, how can the president rip up a valid nuclear deal with Iran only to now go in and pretend he cares about Iran developing a nuclear weapon? Do these people have no memory? The JCPOA, which is what it was called, the deal that Obama struck with Iran, was so terrible he didn't even present it to Congress. He knew that Congress wasn't going to go along with it because it had almost no verification requirements. And then in the months that followed, the verification that was supposed to happen never happened. IAEA actually lied about that, in my view, for about a year or two. So hopeful were they that something was actually going to come out of that agreement. But then they finally admitted, we were never allowed in to the sites that we knew where they were developing nuclear material. So the idea that was a great agreement that we should have stuck with, completely false. And they've got to know that.
And the whole basis of that agreement, unfortunately, was the idea of Barack Obama and the people around him that they wanted Iran to be the dominant power in the Middle East. Obama obviously didn't like Israel. He didn't like the Arabs. They thought Iran was the one to run the show over there. So they had a very pro-Iranian, pro-appeasement policy. And you're right, Liz, and Larry, that they couldn't put that deal before Congress. And so Barack Obama's reputation, he doesn't know it yet, got blasted today, whatever was left of it, on foreign policy. That was a profound mistake, an uncivilized mistake, you might say, in terms of the threat to a civilized world. And I think they are going to see it through. And about time.
Ben Rhodes, if you remember, sorry, Larry, Ben Rhodes, who was very instrumental in crafting that agreement, actually kind of, bared his soul to the New Yorker sometime after all of that, saying, we lied about, remember I forgot the name of the president who was supposed to be a pro-appeasement, not a pro-democracy, but a sort of pro-American guy who was going to make it all worthwhile. That is to say, they were selling the American people on the idea that there was an Iranian leader who wanted a rapprochement, who wanted peace. It was a complete fable, and he admitted it in an interview. So they have no credibility. They have no right to really pass judgment on what we're doing
And you're
now.
right, Larry. They've been lying forever. I'm old enough to remember back in the 79, 80, when there's talk of moderate leadership. We must encourage the moderate leaderships during the hostage crisis.
That's right.
They don't exist. It's a bad, evil regime. Got to go.
When I sat down with the president about 10 days ago, we had a good long interview, but the last point, or second to the last point, was Iran, which he raised. I did not. But I asked him, I just had to, politely, can anyone ever believe anything Iran says? Now, I'm not going to argue with him, but that was my pushback. And he shook his head. He said, well, that may be. That may be. You can't believe, but they have to go through the process. Now, I think they went through that process probably hoping for a miracle. I know Jared Kushner very, very well, and I know Steve Witkoff less well. I know Jared likes to, do miracles, but I also think that the discussions going on between them, the so-called talks, were there to buy time, so you can get all the ships and flotillas and U.S. carriers and squad. That's what that was about, wasn't it, really? I mean,
I agree.
Or let me put it to you this way, Liz, just in case Iran behaves the way they have, as Steve Forbes said, the last 50 years, just in case they hold true to form, we need to have the best armada we can possibly have. Isn't that really what happened here?
Oh, I think they were playing for time.
Yes,
I mean, everybody thought the Iranians were playing for time. I think it was playing for time.
Yes.
There was no way that they... And I mean, Jared Kushner actually almost came out and said it, that, that this was not really going to happen. So I think that it was very smart.
By the way, the attack coming in the morning instead of the evening, tactical surprise. Yep. But also, I think Fox reported that Israeli intelligence knew that because they thought it would be a nighttime attack, that they were meeting this morning, their time, and they may have taken out a lot of the leaders who were meeting who thought the raid was going to come at night, not during the morning.
Wouldn't that be sweet? We have to find out. They got the Ayatollah's compound. We just don't know if they got him. I asked Jack Keane, but he said he didn't know yet. We'll have to sort through it. Maybe he does know and doesn't want to say. Who knows? Anyway, let me take a quick break. Liz Peek and Steve Forbes. I'm Kudlow. We'll be right back. And we're talking money and politics in Iran with two of the best, Liz Peek, Fox News contributor, and Steve Forbes, chairman and editor-in-chief of Forbes Media. Liz, so far there's one Democrat who is backing Trump on this, John Fetterman. Yeah. Can you believe it? I mean, he's the only...
When's John Fetterman going to become a Republican?
He's the only one. I didn't know this. You two may have known. I was kind of out yesterday. My back's been killing me, but apparently he was in a nice suit and tie for the State of the Union and committed the sin of shaking President Trump's hand, whereupon he was trashed by most of the rest of the Democratic Party for A, the suit and tie, and B, shaking the president's hand. What do you think of that, Liz Peek? How about those apples? I mean, really?
Larry, every day that goes by, I am stunned by the stupidity and the rage and the fecklessness of Democrats. What is their program? What are they selling other than, and we all have said this before, but it's really true, what are they selling other than I hate Donald Trump? What are they saying other than I'm going to obstruct everything he's done? Because guess what? A lot of the stuff he's doing and have done is very popular. So it really offends me that is the extent of their behavior. I mean, I don't know. I really, words fail me on the current Democratic Party. I think it's horribly lost.
I got to get him back on. I've had him on as a guest, and by the way, he's very good.
That's a great incident, and it shows he fills out a suit. The other Democrats are empty suits.
Yeah, really good.
That was very good, Steve. But the Eclair was the best, Steve. That was really the best. Now, Steve, one that's a quick side one here. So Paramount has won the bidding to take over Warner, and people at CNN are going crazy because they think they're going to be all knocked out. Paramount, Ellison's very conservative friends of Donald Trump. I mean, you run a media empire. What's going to happen to CNN?
I think they'll try to figure out if the thing is salvageable. Yeah. What is their purpose in the world today when there's so many other media outlets? So CNN's been in trouble for a long time. We all remember the early 1990s when we had the first Iraq War, how we all depended on CNN to find out what was going on. That is long, long gone. So how do they keep this ship afloat? I think that's what they're going to ask before deciding what to do.
Yeah, no, you're right. This question is, can it make any money? I have no idea if it makes any money or not. Somebody's got to ask. But they showed, I just want to raise this. The reason it's in my head, I know the deal went through, Netflix had to pull out and so forth, but CNN ran a poll before the president went on Tuesday night, and the poll was right direction, wrong direction, 54% right direction. And then after the State of the Union, they moved, that poll went to 64% right direction. Now, I hate to rely on a CNN poll, but there you have it. I mean, there's a lot of polls that show how bad he is. CNN had this positive poll. So maybe there's a kernel of something good in there.
It's going to take a lot of fertilizer to make it grow, but these guys have brains and they may make it happen.
Who knows?
I don't know. But the thing I'm looking forward to, other than what's unfolding in Iran, is when is Kevin Warsh going to have his hearings?
Yeah.
And I hope that he's listening to you, Larry, and that he publicly declares the Phillips curve, the idea that prosperity caused inflation, is now dead, and those models are going to be changed. The Fed's no longer going to try to depress the economy if they think we're doing well.
Listen, you're going to love his testimony. You're going to love it. I mean, it's not, it's all of us. I mean, he's been our pal for a long time. and you're going to love what he says. We have to clear up this whole business about Jeanine Pirro and Jay Powell and the Fed, and they're trying to get off. I think
you have the idea, Larry, that President Trump should pardon Powell.
Actually, that was John Carney's. I love that she should pardon Powell. No, I think all of us from our side of the spectrum are going to like what Kevin Warsh has to say. I don't know, Liz. I thought Trump's. We're out of time. We got about 30 seconds left. But I thought he was growthier and captivating, and I loved his State of the Union message.
I loved it. I thought it was just exactly what he needed to do. He was likable, positive, optimistic, and completely right on what he emphasized, which is that the economy is growing and it's going to grow faster. So good for him. I thought it was a tour de force.
Terrific stuff. Thank you, both of you. Liz Peek, thank you. Steve Forbes, thank you very, very much, folks. I'm Kudlow, and we will be back next weekend. Thanks for listening.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.